Good morning, good people. This is your girl, Regan Adams with All Things Regan. Thank you so much for joining me this morning or whenever you're popping on here to do the replay. So, today's topic is stop pointing, and that's also today's tip, stop pointing. So what do I mean when I say stop pointing? So when you point, this is an old saying, but we're going to revisit it today. When you point, 3 fingers are pointing back at you, right? And so if you are going to point, you're going to have to start looking at yourself. I called my cousin last night because I was like, man, I really should have gone to school to be a counselor, like a marriage and relationship counselor. But relationships are my passion, so that's one of the things. And I'm not an expert. I'm just a life learner, and I learn through my experiences. And so anytime that I talk to you guys about anything, it's something that I've been through, gone through, going through. I'm talking through my experience. Now, my experience may not be your experience, but a lot of us have the same ones. So I just talk about what I know, and maybe it will resonate with you. But I have had several conversations over the past 2 weeks, and an event I went to talk to or show me about accountability. And ladies, y'all know I don't like harping on y'all. Okay, I don't. But I'm a woman, and I deal with women in my business. That's my business, is women. And I just see a lot of stuff. And I want to speak to it. Now, I'm not just talking about just women, though, but I'm talking about everybody. So men, too. But women, this is why I'm actually pulling on this message today, is to talk about accountability. So I have, like I said, I've been having a lot of conversations about relationships. And hey, LaRonda, I have been talking about relationships for the past couple of weeks really heavy. And one of the things, the missing components that I believe that will make these relationships work a little bit better is accountability. I actually saw a comment this morning, and I was just like, dang, but I hear it and I see it all the time. So there was a young lady who I had posted in my Dating is Dead group, and if you have not joined Dating is Dead, who killed it, please do. So I had made a post in the Dating is Dead group where this man was talking to his girl, and it was just like a skit, and she was saying, you want me to be your wife? And he was like, yeah, if you be a good girl. It was very like a submission dominant type thing. And side note, I am a submissive person, so I like a man's man. So if you talking to me good, I'm like, yeah, whatever you want. You know what I mean? But that's just my personality. And that was kind of one of those videos where he was, the male, the dominant male. And the young lady was just kind of submissive and saying whatever, playing into whatever he was saying. And so all the ladies were like, oh yeah, I'm excited, woo, woo, woo. And then there was one comment that said, it was something kind of negative, like all men, like this is a joke, or I can't remember exactly what the comment was, but it was like, it's a joke, men aren't like this, and it just went kind of left, and I was just like, but why would you say that? But then that made me think, go back to accountability. So I was at a men's event, was a women's event, but a men's relationship panel, and I talked about that. I did a whole review on it. And a lot of the women in there were saying, y'all men don't do this, y'all men expect this, y'all men expect that. But no woman once said, I chose wrong. And I know women hate to hear that. Women don't like to hear they chose wrong. I've seen it. I've heard it. Listen to me. I've even said it myself. I chose wrong. So because you made the wrong choices in men, not more than once, and they dogged you out, it's all men are bad? No, that's wrong. That is absolutely wrong. What the flip side of that should be, you know what? I need to take accountability for the choices that I made. So I chose wrong. And so all men aren't bad. I just chose bad men. Example, I was in a situationship that I had no business being in. None. Shouldn't have started it, but I did it for selfish reasons, and I felt like I needed to do it at the time. And so, but when I got in it, it was hard to get out. And so I wasn't treated like I wanted to be treated or could be treated. And so I stayed anyway. I stayed longer than I needed to, right? But whose fault? I can't automatically get out of that situationship and say, hey, all men are bad. No, I chose to be in a situationship that I had no business being in, right? So whose fault was that? Mine. I can't point the finger at him. He was only doing what I was allowing him to do, right? Had a conversation with somebody else. This was actually a man talking about a woman. We had already, they had gotten married already. But before they got married, we had already had these conversations about, it was already like tens of millions of red flags. But you got married anyway, and you still have the same complaint. Matter of fact, it's worse. Whose fault is that? And now you don't want to get a divorce because you feel like a failure. We make mistakes. So we take accountability and we move on, right? Yes. And so I don't want to be the dead horse. I don't want to be the dead horse this morning. And it's not even just for romantic relationships. These are for friendships too. These are for everyday life choices that we made the wrong decision. And guess what? We do that because while we're human, we're flawed. We make mistakes. And we have to give ourselves room to learn and grow because that's the only way we're going to do it. Listen, anytime I come and talk to y'all about something, I never talk about stuff I don't know anything about. You will never hear me guess. It is something that I have experienced personally. I keep telling y'all that. And what I see and what I have gone through, I have made plenty of mistakes when it comes to friendships. I was thinking about a friendship that I had when I was in college. I handled her wrong. I'm thinking that a friendship that I had right a little bit before I came to Texas, I handled her wrong. It's been a lot of mistakes that I've had because I don't like confrontation. I don't want to deal with it. I don't like having hard conversations. I know a lot of people are like, well, Regan, you so rough. And I'm rough about some stuff, but generally I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So I don't like having those tough conversations. I would just leave you alone and go on about my business. But how many of y'all know that it's not always the way to handle things? You have to have those tough conversations. And so I've had to learn from that. Look, I need to do better in this area when it comes to relationships if I want to salvage them. And sometimes I don't want to salvage those relationships. There are friendships where I feel like I have been, one in particular, that I feel like I have been wronged. And guess what? And I know the person knows something wrong. I know they know because they know me, or should. Been dealing with me long enough to know if I'm not talking to you, it's a problem. It's a problem. If I'm not talking to you, there's a problem. When we went from talking every day, every other day, texting, to nothing, there's a problem. And so instead of me saying, you know what, let's talk about it, I'm like, don't worry about it. And I left it alone where my friends are like, hey, you really need to say something. And I'm like, man, forget that because it's not a relationship I want to salvage. It's just not a relationship. But does that person deserve a conversation? Maybe. But guess who's stubborn? Me. But guess what? I'm self-aware and I know that about myself. And my friends make sure that I know that about myself too. Right? But there's still an accountability on not just my part, but theirs too. We have to learn to take accountability or we are not going to do well in life. Period. I messed up. And most people have a problem with accountability because it makes them look weak and makes them look sad and like they don't know what they're doing when we are all human and we all make errors. It's life. I know, like the guy I was talking to yesterday, he doesn't want to get a divorce. But he's like, I can't live like this. Well, what do you want to do? Save face and make everything look good on the outside? Because a lot of people tend to do that. Ask me how I know. I was in a marriage that looked good on the outside and it was trash on the inside. And not saying he was a bad person or whatever. And we had great times. He was my friend first. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to give the facade of looking good anymore. I want things to be good. And so what does that have to do? I have to take accountability for that. Right? Also, there was a conversation I had posted in our group where the man, it was like a male that was emotionally intelligent. I love emotional intelligence. especially coming from a man. But he was saying women like it too, but only when it's convenient for them. And it's true, because I remember when I was dealing in the situationship, the person was very emotionally intelligent. Very emotionally intelligent. And guess what? I wasn't used to that. And so a lot of the things I was kicking back on, when actuality he was really like telling the truth, and he was getting his point across without yelling. I was never used to that. So guess what? I had to take accountability and say, you know what? Let me cow back some. Let me listen to his wisdom. Because guess what? He is a man at the end of the day. And also, through this mistake that I made through this situationship, let me be very clear about this. Had I not dealt with this person, I would probably still date the same type of person as my ex-husband. I'm going to be very honest about that. So when I say your mistakes, like God said, all things work together for good. All, even your mistakes. Matter of fact, like I said, you learn from them. So this particular person I was dealing with, he was different from anybody that I've ever dealt with. Which it was a bad thing to deal with him, but it was a good thing in the end, because once I was working on myself, I was actually working on myself and dealing with him too at the same time. And so they were like a positive and negative. So it was together, but it was separate. You know what I'm saying? But I learned a lot with dealing with him. I learned that I could attract a certain type of a person. I learned that I didn't have to just be with a drug dealer. I know I didn't have to just have to settle for something else. I could have a high caliber man. A lot of women don't know anything about that because they've never experienced it. But I have, even though it came the wrong way. But guess what? It was still wrong. I still shouldn't have chose. But actually, at the end of the day, I'm glad I did. Because it has helped me all the way around. So when you take accountability, you can look at the positive and the negative and say, what did I do right? What did I learn from this? What can I take away from this? What do I know not to do again? What did you say, LaRonda? I believe relationships are guided by what you allow and how things are handled. Absolutely, accountability is key in relationship. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I tell this story all the time. One of the main things that I learned in my marriage is how to be quiet. How to be quiet. How to be quiet. And some women don't like that because they want to get their point across. They want to get him told. They want to, I'm right, you wrong. No. That's not the case. Because sometimes the men will cow back and not even say anything because they feel like they're not being heard. And one of the things, like I said, my ex-husband and I, we would argue all the time because neither one of us knew how to communicate. And when I started trying to walk in God and get myself better in God, the Holy Spirit said, be quiet. Be quiet. You need to learn to be quiet because both of y'all can't talk and be heard. And you can't hear what he's saying and you can't understand. Meanwhile, I'm going to let you get your point across, but there's a way to do it. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? I want to be happy. I don't have to be right. Now, it's cool when I am. And then sometimes we don't even have to acknowledge that I'm right. I can just say what I got to say and move on. Right? Yes, we do. So accountability in all situations, relationships, your health. I keep talking about, like I had a situation yesterday, not situation, but I ate a healthy breakfast. I'm really trying to do better. Like I ate a healthy breakfast. I felt great. I was drinking water all day. Came home. I wanted some wings. So I fried some wings and I had a loaded baked potato. Guess what? I felt terrible after I ate. Because I really can't eat fried food anymore. But I wanted it. So if my belly is hanging and flopping and carrying on, whose fault is that? Because I feel bad, whose fault was that? I made a wrong decision, but I knew better. Accountability is your word. Accountability is your word. Who cares how you look? Yeah, I chose wrong. I made the wrong decision, but what did I learn from it to correct? To get on a course correct? What did I learn from that? So ladies, gentlemen, I'm talking to everybody today, but I mostly see no accountability in the women's side. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Like my life's path is to make sure women are ready. And when I'm telling you women get ready, I'm getting ready too. We're not in this alone. I'm not talking to you from up here. I say that all the time. I'm not talking to you from up here like I just know everything, but I'm telling you what I have learned that has benefited me, that has has put me on a right path to certain things. So again, as I learn, you learn. I'm going to give you the benefit of my knowledge. If you don't want it, cool. If you want to call me a pick me, cool. I don't care. Because let me be very clear when I say this. I am happy now. This is the happiest I've ever been in my life. And guess what? I don't have a man. I'm not even dating right now. There's no boo on the plate. I'm walking in my purpose. A man is the last thing really on my mind, to be honest. But guess what? I know I'm going to be married soon. Why? Because I'm going to attract him while I'm walking in my purpose. Because that's what God showed me. And so that's all. A side note, we're leading into Build a Man. I will have the online course ready for you guys tomorrow online if you're unable to come to any of the cities that I'm in. But Build a Man is basically talking about accountability and walking in your purpose. And you will attract the man. I talked about this in the other video with LaRonda earlier this week. You know, Ruth was out working when Boaz saw her. And Esther, she prepared. So that's what we're supposed to be doing, preparing. Making sure that we look nice, we smell nice. We trying to keep our health together, that we're walking in our purpose. Art, listen, I told my homegirl last week, you know, she's married, been married for a long time. If she's walking in her purpose, and she is, if she's walking in her purpose, and she's happy and fulfilled doing just that, her man is the cherry on top. Her man is just the additive. She's whole by herself. Her man is the additive. So the life's goal is not to get a man. The life's goal is not just to get a woman. Right? Well, it shouldn't be. It's not mine, but that's going to be a byproduct of me walking in my purpose. Right? It is. Because guess what? I am wife material. And I know that. I was wife material when I got married because I knew I always wanted to be married. I'm not supposed to be single, and I won't be single for long. I'm going to have a great marriage when I get married again. Why? Because I'm working on myself. I'm going to be an asset to whoever I join myself with. I'm an asset to my friends. But I have to daily walk in that, and I have to daily take accountability to make sure that I'm a good friend, to make sure that I'm a good mother, to make sure that I handle people correctly. Because when I'm handling that, when my husband comes, I'm going to handle him correctly. I'm going to give him grace. Like I told y'all before, and I'm going to say this and get out of your way. A lot of women, not a lot, some women, we have to create that safe space for men. We have to create that safe space for men, for them to put their head in our lap and calm them down and make sure that they're okay and show those feminine qualities. And I know they're going to reciprocate if you got the right man, but we cannot use what they give us like Delilah did. Y'all know the story about Delilah? When Samson put his head in her lap and she used what he told her against him. And women do it all the time. We cut below the belt. So we don't want to have that lap space for that man when we're using things against him, right? So we have to take accountability for our actions and what we do and try to live in peace and harmony. All right. I got to go. I wasn't trying to be on here that long, but that's the word for today. Accountability. Look at yourself before you point at anybody else. Because I know this is another thing, and I'm going to get out your way for real. There was a thing that I used to always be like, man, with my ex-husband, oh, he do this and he do that and he do this. And it was just like, well, Regan, what do you do? It don't sound like you do nothing. It sounds like you perfect. I'm not. I'm not. You're not. Look at you first. You cannot ask. And that was one of the things I'd be like, Lord, change him. Change him, Lord, change him. And God was like, I'm not going to change him until I change you. I'm going to change you first. And watch him change. I'm going to change you first and watch him change. Because guess what? When I learned to shut my mouth, he started changing. How he responded to me. How he talked to me. We weren't yelling anymore. We had open communication. But that started with me shutting my mouth. But some women be like, I got to get my point across. I got to. How's that working for you? I'm just saying. How's that working for you? What we need to be working on, side note, and I'm going to get out your way for real, is making sure that we are a high value woman. So we can attract the men that we want. But we have to do the inner work. start taking hard looks at ourselves. What is wrong with me? Why do I think this way? Why do I act this way? And put yourself around people who think differently than you, who are assets to you. I keep talking about your friend circle. My friend circle is very, very, very important in this season. My mother is very, very important in this season because they have wisdom. 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 And wisdom is the principal thing. That's what the word says. When you ask God for something, ask for wisdom how to handle all things. And don't let you be your worst enemy, because you can be. You're not attracting a man? Let's find out why. Is that fupa hanging? Is your heart ugly? Do you know how to treat a man? Do you know how to talk to him? I mean, there's all kind of things that can be wrong. Why? Are you in the right place? Are you dating yourself? Are you going to bars or restaurants and sitting out there alone and looking cute to have conversations? Are you positioning yourself to be found? Are you being nice? If a man turns and looks at you and smiles, sometimes you just got to practice. I practice now. When I'm out and I see an attractive man or any kind of man, I still speak, hey, how you doing? I might carry on a short conversation. Why? Because when my man does come and he comes and talks to me, I don't want to be feeling awkward. Like, oh my gosh, she's looking at me. What does he want? Because some women do that. But you want a man, but you don't even know how to talk to one. Because we on social media so much, we forget the physical conversations. You get nervous when somebody talks to you. But how many of y'all know, I keep saying, especially with dating, I got a cousin in love called me. She's recently divorced, but she's dating. And she's like, oh my gosh, Regan, how? I said, listen, go have fun. I didn't want to say go bust something open because she's been with the dude since she's 19. She over 40 now. I didn't want to say that, but go have fun. Go date. Go get your feet back in the water. Go see how dating is again. It's not scary like everybody says it is. There is a little pee in the pool, but every man is not bad. That's why I was terrified to date. I don't know how I got here. That's why I was terrified to date when I was single. Because I kept hearing all these horror stories. But here's the thing. There was no accountability. So guess what? The people who were talking about it was pee in the pool. Guess what? No accountability. You chose wrong. You weren't attracting what you wanted. No accountability. I've had great dates. Listen to me. I've had some very, very good dates. I've turned down, and I'm not trying to say it like that, like I've turned down all the men, but I have had good quality men. I mean, I've had some trash dates too. Let me be very clear about trash. I've had trash dates, but I've had some really, really good dates. And a few of them want to take me out listen, what are we doing? And I'm like, no, because you don't fit my quality of life or lifestyle where I'm trying to go. A lot of them want me, they're older, so they want me to just sit in the house. Or even if they're not older, they want me to sit in the house and chill and sit there and look at them all day. I'm not doing that. We can do that a little bit. But I got a business to run, right? And I need some support, and hopefully you're living in your purpose. I'm not going to deal with nobody who's not living in their purpose. Not going to do it. No more potential. We're going to be actively walking in their purpose so I can have something to support. Yeah. Other than that, we can't be together. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because I have to have a man with vision. I have to. That was one of the reasons I married my ex-husband, because he had a vision, but he wasn't actively walking in the purpose. He would take a couple steps and be like, but he would get it the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? But I love a man that's walking in their vision and their purpose, and I need something to support. And so when I was dating and the guy was like, well, I was like, I don't think this is going to work. It's not going to work. This is not for me. So anyway, I got to hop off here. Ladies, gentlemen, please take accountability for your actions. Take accountability of everything in your life. Self-evaluate yourself. Be self-aware. Being self-aware is sexy. Let me be very clear about that. Being self-aware is sexy. Learn what's wrong with you so you can become a high-value woman. Please. That will listen to me. When you are walking in your purpose and you are self-aware and self-accountable, that is very appealing to a high-value man. Let me be clear about that. Do not let your purpose be, let me go find a man. Let me go find a woman. Should not be your life's purpose. Your life's purpose is to be happy, being full and complete and holding yourself, and you will attract and position yourself out You ain't gonna find no men at the house. At your house, you gotta go out. You gotta go out. And I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself because I actively have to position myself out. Like it's 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm an hour behind Eastern Standard, but I'm cute. Every day I go out, I look nice, and I'm out all day. I position myself. I go to dinners. I'm going to lunch with my homegirl tomorrow. I'm going to be cute tomorrow. It's Cinco de Mayo. Everybody going to be out, especially in Houston. I'm going to be cute, but I've got to position myself. Position yourself. Self-accountability, self-awareness, and position yourself. Right? And you throw God in the mix. Listen to me. You ain't going to lose. I'm just saying. We're always working on ourselves daily, right? So I got to go. You guys have a blessed day. This is your girl, Regan Adams, with All Things Regan. And Regan said, what'd you say? Oh, yeah. Regina, don't get me started on you. But as I was saying, you're going to get better, right? Yes, you are. This is your girl, Regan Adams, with All Things Regan. And Regan says, I think it, I see it, I do it. You guys have a blessed day. Bye.